Welcome to Between Two Codeys. I'm usually your host, but I'm going to be your host and your guest today. Jason Strawn. I'm the CEO of Codeup. We are a career accelerator based in Texas that helps people learn how to enter a career in technology.
Awesome.
And who am I with today? Miss Kyler.
Hi, Jason. Yes, my name is Kyler Fennell, and I am a marketing specialist here at Codeup. And today I'm going to kind of be interviewing Jason, who is your usual host, but today we're going to get to know him and kind of get a good feel for our new podcast.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to getting to know me. Should be a fun experience.
Awesome. So to get started, Jason, could you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself? Who is Jason?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I'm just some guy that was really interested in computers. And, if you go back in time a few decades, when I was a younger man trying to enter my career as a late teenager, early 20s, I had the good fortune of already knowing how to write software and to be a computer programmer. And my hobby ended up being something that the marketplace, greatly needed. And I was fortunate to be able to go and get a job and eventually a career working in technology. I spent a lot of my career working on electronic message centers. So I think most people refer to them as jumbotrons, the really large displays that are usually in things like sports arenas. And then made a transition to working on web and mobile software devices and applications for many years. What's interesting, I think, during that career is I noticed that there were people like me who were able to enjoy a very lucrative and very rewarding career that didn't have the traditional education that, I think most of us believe that you need to have to enter this industry. And after 25 years of being a member of that industry, we started the school that we're now talking about and that this podcast is about, Codeup, which is really a place where we help extend that same opportunity that I had to other people who would like to enter a career in technology through non-traditional ways. So, to answer your question, who am I? I don't know. I'm some guy that worked in technology for a long time, but I'm in a very fortunate position in life, I think, to be able to help other people come and enjoy this industry and hopefully a career that's been as good as mine has. So thank you for asking.
Awesome. Yeah. And you talked a little bit about helping other people get those same opportunities. Would you say that's your favorite part about being in this industry?
Absolutely. I never thought that interacting with other people, much less helping other people, would be in the cards for me in my life. I was a technologist. I wrote lines of code that were interpreted by computers and put images up on really big screens in sports arenas. If you would have told me at any point in my career that I was eventually going to use those skills and competencies to help other people, I don't think I would have believed you. And I got a lot of enjoyment out of my career. I got a lot of joy out of being able to create technology and then see it used and then see it experienced by potentially thousands or millions of human beings. But it really doesn't compare to the joy and the fulfillment that I get personally out of helping somebody else enter this career. And I don't take it lightly or for granted that we've been able to do this and to help so many other people enter this industry. And it's very liberating. It's a liberating industry and experience, and to watch other people enjoy it is fantastic. So it's been the best part of my career for sure.
Awesome. Well, Jason, you talked a little bit about our name, Between Two Codeys.
Yeah.
But who is Cody?
Oh,
What is Cody?
Yeah, what is Cody? Who is Cody? So Cody's a rubber duck. We got a wooden one here on the table for anybody that's watching the video portion of the feed. And if you ever come to Codeup, you're going to see we have rubber ducks everywhere. Little rubber ducks, big ones. I was just with my family. We were visiting another country on vacation, and there was a rubber duck store, so I had to go in there and buy a rubber duck from that country. But you see these rubber ducks all over. Cody is our mascot. It is a rubber duck, and it kind of came about by accident. I guess you probably want me to talk about how we got Cody. In our industry in software development, there's a kind of a joke that what we get paid to do is to write software that doesn't work. I get paid to go write bugs for a living, and then you go and find them and you fix them. And anybody that's ever used software has run into a software bug at some point. And when we're writing software, one of the things that we're constantly doing is debugging, right? You write software, it doesn't work correctly, and then you spend, sometimes hours or days trying to find out what's wrong. Why doesn't this code work? And that process is called debugging, going and finding and removing the bugs. And it's really common that when you're stuck on a software problem, you go find another software developer and you like have them come over to your desk and sit next to you, and you pull up the code on the computer and you work through it until you can find the bug together, and then you fix it. And an engineer decades ago had realized he did that a lot, and it was really expensive. And what he observed was, more often than not, the other engineer didn't really have to help. They just had to sit there, and as he explained the code that was on the screen to the other engineer, inevitably he would find the bug, he'd find the problem as he was reading it out loud and explaining it out loud, and then he'd fix the problem and move on. Well, he decided to save time and money, he would just put a rubber duck on his desk. And that when he had bugs in the future, he would just describe the problem to the rubber duck, and that most of the time he could find the problem. Well, I tell this story. I tell this story one day at Codeup, and I'm teaching to the class, and it was like a Friday, and I tell this anecdote about rubber duck debugging and encourage them all to think about walking through their code before they ask for help. And when I came in on Monday morning, everybody had a rubber duck sitting on their desk. And it just kind of came to be that there were rubber ducks all over Codeup. And now I know you fast forward 10 years, and I think we buy rubber ducks by the thousand and, hand them out to everybody. But that's Cody. Cody's our mascot, and it represents this idea that, we are problem solvers. That's what we're learning in this industry, is how to solve problems using technology. And as funny as it is, a little rubber duck is the symbol of how we think about that. So that's Cody.
Yeah. I think that's probably the number one asked question for new hires.
Oh, wow.
And maybe even students who haven't quite heard that story yet. They
Yeah.
always ask, why is your mascot a rubber duck? So
Yeah, why are there rubber ducks everywhere? No, it's great. And I love that it just organically became. We didn't sit around and have a meeting about what's the mascot of Codeup going to be. That, organically the student population had built that tradition, and 10 years later you can't walk anywhere in Codeup without seeing a rubber duck somewhere. I just had somebody bring me a rubber duck back from Amsterdam. I met them for lunch, and they had this rubber duck from Amsterdam in their bag, and they were like, we were there and we bought this for you. And I thought, wow, 10 years after telling that story, now I have people bringing me rubber ducks from around the world. It's pretty awesome. So it's exciting stuff.
awesome. Well, you mentioned 10 years in.
Yeah.
What did Codeup look like 10 years ago, and even before then, when it was just getting started?
Oh, wow. A little bit of the origin stories. 10 years ago, I owned a company called Grok Interactive. We were a custom software development shop. So we wrote, web applications, mobile applications for iPhones and Android and all of that stuff. And Geekdom was here in San Antonio. It's a co-working location that was really focused on startup accelerants. So, a startup accelerator. We had Techstars there. And I was talking to, Michael Girdley, who was running the Geekdom Fund, kind of angel investment group in technology, and Chris Turner owned a computer engineering company. And none of us could hire enough software developers. And we were very frustrated that the software developers that we were interviewing coming out of our traditional education systems here in town weren't passing our entry-level interviews. And we were all having lunch really discussing how would we help these graduates be prepared for the workforce and the needs that we really had in industry. And we were thinking about how do we get the colleges to change what they're teaching. And it didn't take long into the lunch for us to convince ourselves we weren't going to change what college was teaching. But we saw that there were these boot camps, this new model for education and technology that were popping up in places like New York and Chicago and San Francisco. And we decided that we wanted to recruit one to San Antonio. And we went and talked to a few of them, and it became pretty obvious that and apparent nobody wanted to come open one of their schools in San Antonio. And so we went and looked at a few of them. We even went as far as Paris, France, to look at Echo 42, which we consider to be the best software boot camp in the world. And we met with their leadership and management and looked at several different models. And ultimately, we just decided to come open one ourselves, kind of reluctantly, to solve the problem that we needed to hire more software developers. And we knew a lot of people that needed to hire more software developers that were trained in the skills that we needed in industry and not in the theory that we needed for higher education and academia. So we started Codeup in the back of Geekdom, literally in a common area of a co-working location. And the idea was to see, could we do this? Could we train people and then hire them? And we did. We trained 30 people. My company hired them. Chris's company hired them. Michael's company was companies were hiring them. And it worked. So we ran a second cohort and a third. And as it continued, that people were getting the training and getting jobs that mattered, and then moving up and becoming kind of part of the tech leadership and scene of San Antonio, we decided to just continue to grow the company and scale. And I don't think any of us would have believed it when we were at a co-working place that 10 years later, we'd be acquiring, the Open Cloud Academy from Rackspace, expanding our downtown San Antonio location to 3 floors in the Vogue building, having a campus in Dallas, and now we're in the process of consolidating San Antonio to a 34,000 square foot campus over by the airport. And in that time, we've helped thousands of people transition into a career in technology. So really exciting.
That is extremely exciting and really interesting. So when you all started, what programs did you offer? Was it just web development?
We did. We offered web development. It's a lot different than it looks today. Chris Turner and I wrote the original curriculum. And it was what we refer to in the industry as LAMP stack. And 10 years later, I'm not sure if anybody even knows what that means. It shows you how quick technology changes. At the time, the hiring partners that we were working with were mainly smaller startups, and they were using a technology stack that was really based around a language called PHP and a framework called Laravel. And we were using, of course, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, all the standard ingredients of the soup that you use to make web applications. And that's what we taught. And it was a web development course. It was much shorter than the one that we have today. And over time, as we began to talk to larger employers like USAA and Accenture Federal Services, we get feedback that there was more need for an enterprise level software developer. And we actually rewrote that entire curriculum to incorporate Java, which is far more popular with large employers like USAA, Accenture Federal Services, Blue Cross Blue Shield, American Airlines, people like that. And we also found that the small startups could take a Java developer and quickly train them on a language like PHP or Ruby or, Node.js or some of the different technologies that they would be using. So we made that transition about 5 or 6 years ago. And since then, we've added data science as another product offering that we have to help people that are going into more machine learning and predictive analysis roles. And then with the acquisition of the Open Cloud Academy from Rackspace, we now also offer a cloud administration program that helps people enter a career really managing some of the back-end technologies and platforms, usually managed by the Amazon Web Services or AWS model.
Awesome. So this has clearly been some amazing growth over the last 10 years. And you mentioned
Yeah.
we're going to be moving into a new campus soon. Where do you see us going, Codeup as a whole, students as a whole, with our new campus and with the program offerings?
Well, the new campus in San Antonio, I think, is the most exciting part about it. Is the consolidation of our two campuses. Right now we have programs running in our downtown location, and then programs running at what we call the Castle here in San Antonio. It's what we refer to as the Rackspace headquarters. That is the old Windsor Park Mall, and it's been great to have these various campuses. But as we've grown, we've really created two different environments and two different cultures for our students, for our staff, and for the community. And we really want to be a place where our students, our staff, and our community all have a similar experience across our campuses. So the number one thing that I'm most excited about is bringing us all together under one roof. And there's the direct benefit to Codeup students and staff of being all in the same location in the city of San Antonio. There's the networking opportunities, the commingling. Obviously, there's lots of efficiencies that come along from that. But the bigger win, I think, for the community of San Antonio and the tech scene of San Antonio is our new campus has an amazing event space. I mean, it's going to be able to house free community events hosted both by us and the community, whether those are meetups or lunch and learns or different ability for speakers and networking in the community to come together, share knowledge, and I think really help reinvigorate the tech scene of San Antonio, and we need that so desperately. Lastly, I think it provides us a blueprint of the growth and expansion that we're going to see Codeup experience in Dallas over the coming years. While right now we're talking a lot about San Antonio and this campus consolidation because it is the large facilities project that we're undergoing in 2023, I think that it really is foreshadowing for 2024 and 2025 for a similar kind of campus experience in our Dallas community. So looking forward to all of that.
Amazing. Well, I think we did a pretty good job of informing our new viewers a little bit about Codeup's origin story, like you said, what we offer now. But what is the purpose of this podcast? I know we kind of had a previous iteration. We've kind of revamped this one, but what is the goal and what did you want to communicate with this new podcast?
No, that's a great question. And I think that there's probably a lot of things that we want to get across and to do with this podcast. But for me, the big one is this. I think that, if you're in Texas, if you're in San Antonio, if you're in Dallas and you've driven around, you've probably seen one of our billboards. I get it all the time. People ask me, oh, what do you do for a living? And I say, oh, I work at Codeup. And they say, oh, wow, I see your billboards everywhere. What exactly does Codeup do? And what I'd like this podcast to do is to help share the story. We have hundreds of students who come into Codeup leaving their previous career as a soldier or a barista or a teacher or any number of fill-in-the-blank careers that they were doing before they made the switch to technology. And then they come to Codeup, and they spend about 670 hours in a classroom with us, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, for about 20 weeks, learning a new career, a new set of skills. And then they go and enter the workforce. And they go create the technology that people are using today and tomorrow inside of organizations. And we want to tell this story. I want to tell the story of the people who experience that life change, the people that help create environments for that life change, and really highlight the things in our community, the employers and the community partners that help make this possible. So I don't know how you wrap that up in a pretty little bow and tie it up, but I think it's really telling the story of how technology and the people that use and create it are impacting the lives in Texas and the greater community that we all serve.
No, I think you did an amazing job explaining that. That was the perfect package and the perfect bow. And I'm really excited to see where the podcast goes. So, well, if anyone watching has any additional questions for Jason, please comment them below. And hopefully he'll be able to get to them in a later podcast. Jason? Any other remarks?
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know. Give us some comments. Be sure to reach out. Shoot me an email if you have anything that you'd like us to talk about. We're here to serve you and to serve our students at Codeup. We empower life change, and we do that by helping people enter a new career in the industry of technology. And we're here to answer your questions, help demystify what this industry looks like, and to really be a conduit for our community to be able to embrace the jobs of the future. So looking forward to talking to you and hearing your questions and answering them here. Thanks, Kyler.
Thank you, Jason, and thanks for watching.